Right. Give everyone a couple minutes to jump in here.
Sounds good.
All right. I think we can probably get started, Garrett. I'm sure some more people will trickle in as we get going, but this will be recorded, so we'll have this available for everyone afterwards.
Sounds good. Well, thanks everyone for attending today. We're on Power Session 2 in July, focused on the cost forecasting tool. You may know it formerly as Projected Final Cost. So we'll kind of go through some updates here and go through the workflow and just things as Denver is seen as the implementation manager that's kind of, worked out best and provide the most value for the clients. So Denver, I'll kind of throw it over to you and you want to share your screen and we'll kick it off.
Yep. And if anyone has any questions, throw them in the chat, or we'll have a couple minutes left at the end to answer any questions you guys may have.
Perfect.
All right. So let's pull this up here. All right. So like Garrett had mentioned, we've rolled out an update to the projected final cost tool. It's been rebranded as a cost forecast tool. Not that it's functionally a whole lot different, but there are some new features to take advantage of. So what we'll go through today is how to turn it on for those that might not already have the new view available. It's just a switch of a button, but we'll get into how to switch it over, how to create your workspaces, how to edit columns, kind of tackle more of the newer features of the cost forecast tool. So as many of you know, or maybe don't know if you're tuning in for the first time, to get to the cost forecast tool, probably one of the quickest ways to get to it would be clicking into whichever job that we're going to perform our cost forecast for. In this case, we'll use our Chrysler building job here. Once we're clicked into it, it'll kind of give us our summary page of all of our billings, costs, commitments, change orders, everything that you see on the screen here. Where you want to focus is in this forecast tracker, where you can click into the little arrow key here, and you'll see the new wording here to cost forecast, which will open up your in a lot of cases, you'll see the original projected final cost tool that was rolled out, a couple of years ago. So to make the switch from the projected final cost to our new cost forecast, you should see an update available option up at the top right, in which case you can click the switch, and that will give you the new dashboard for what is now available and what has now been rebranded as our cost forecast tool. Right. So some nice new visuals, a lot more kind of high level summary information. The margin tracker is a little bit bigger, easier to read. So having kind of a couple things to be able to customize here by just clicking on some of these drop downs to see, hey, when I'm looking at the forecast tracker, do I want to look at forecast margin, projected, or forecasted, the original margin, or revised? So for those that are tracking change orders in your ERP system, if you want to compare not just simply the original profit, you want to include the revised numbers in there, you can make the switch, right? So
I see we have some good KPIs on there, Denver. But let's say I'm looking for something else. Is it pretty easy to add maybe a couple more tables?
Yeah, so what we can do is we can click into the little 3-dot doohickey up at the top right. I don't know the official term, so that's what we're going with. But we can click into the edit option here. And what this will allow us to do is pick and choose which of these KPIs maybe we want to show. If we want to add more to it, if we want to take any of these off. So for example, if I didn't care for the contract to show up in here, I could take that one off and then I can add in, and you'll see quite a list here of things that you can pick from. So I didn't see commitments in there, so maybe I want to show my open commitments as one of our KPIs at the top instead of our projected final contract, right? So you can pick and choose how many wide If you want to add more, you're more than welcome to keep selecting from the list to put more KPIs in there. And then from the visualization standpoint, you could remove the root cause visualization. And what this one is meant to do is show you kind of all the reasons why we're making those forecast adjustments, kind of in a graphical interpretation. I think before, you guys might be familiar with seeing the big list with all the little blocks in it. We've kind of revamped it a little bit to give it more of a visual aspect of it. So if you want to continue to use that, by all means, if you want to add more charts to it, you can click down into the little plus sign. You can pick and choose from the preloaded charts, or you can create your own by clicking on that. And then you can pick and choose what your horizontal axis would be, and then what your vertical axis would be for that particular chart, right? So once you have all the KPIs and you got all your visualizations in a spot where, this is what we want to see, we can scroll to the top, we can hit save. And that's going to give us our new view, right? No projected final contract. We have our commitments up here, and we can see all of our different views. So you could have more than one view, just like we've done with the WIP, right? Where maybe you have an accounting WIP report, a project manager WIP report. You could do the same thing with the cost forecast screen. So if you want to pick and choose a different view, right? You can go in there and select it. You can then give it a different name if you so choose, but also not in addition to just editing which KPIs, which visualizations will show up in the show and hide. You can pick and choose. Do I want to see the pennies? Do I want to see the delta change from one adjustment to the next? The stack data, what that would allow it to do is, instead of putting some of these side by side, you can put them kind of on top of one another. So if you don't want to scroll nearly as far down, maybe you have the stack data unchecked. If you don't want to scroll maybe as wide, if you've got a lot of KPIs or columns in the report down below, maybe you leave this unchecked or checked, right? So as far as some of the other adjustments that we've put in here, the filters, these should be pretty similar to what we had before with cost code filters, phase, cost class, your as of date, cost code groups, and then whether those line items are complete. So if you wanted to hide off all the 100% items, you could simply click in there and say, just show me the ones that are not complete. Okay.
Yeah, this is great. And then I see over on the side, we can group by various things and the ability to export to PDF, Excel, and as well as edit columns, drag and drop and rename, things like that.
Yep. So in the group by right now, the lone option in there is to group it by cost code. Very shortly, I think this week or next week, we are looking to put the cost code group in here. So for those that utilize that in their ERP system, there will be a second option here in the coming week to group it by that cost code group, right? So if we grouped it by the cost code, you get a nice visual instead of just kind of everything lumped together. You'd be able to see a very clear delineation between which cost code and then the cost types underneath, right? And as Garrett had mentioned with the edit columns, just like we had done with WIP, you'd be able to click into edit columns. You can choose from all the different options in there: commitments, quantities, hours, budget. If you had contracts per individual line items, you can put that in there. Hours to complete, change it. Quite a list, right? If you want to slide them over, you just simply click them. They'll move over to the bottom, and then you can use the little directional pad here to reorganize how the columns are presented here. And if you want to take it one step further, you can always rename these by clicking the pencil icon, and then you can just simply, so if I want to abbreviate this, right, I can abbreviate it, rename it, save it, and now when I click save, we'll see now our hours to complete column will show up in the bottom of the screen. Now, just make note of when you edit your columns and you want to make sure that that column sticks each time you open the screen, just make sure you go to the top, hit the little 3-dot icon and hit save, right? So saving will allow you to save the KPIs, the charts, but it'll also allow you to save your groupings or your edit columns in that proper order that you had configured, right? So make sure you hit save. Now, every time I open up the cost forecast under that view, I would be able to see that hours to complete column in there, right? So a couple other things that that we have updated. It's kind of a small update, but you can click into the chart here. It's not just simply telling you dollars per each individual reason. If you click into any of those, you would be able to see all the notes that you've put in for those adjustments, who it made, and when those adjustments were made. So you'll get the reason, you'll get the cost code, and you'll get all the notes. Now, this one's all the same note, but you'd be able to see, there you go, right? You'd be able to see all the notes in there for which cost codes that were impacted by those adjustments, right? So as far as some of the newer features, last one, I guess, export to, you've got your PDF, you've got your Excel option. So for those that would like to have a printout version or an Excel version to send it to those that may not have access to the system or just not hit to ProNovos just yet, you would be able to export that out from the system. Right. Now, all the functionality is more or less the same. If you want to update your final cost, you can simply click in the box, you can make your changes, and you can hit enter on your keyboard and it'll save it. And if you have that root cause analysis prompt, you can then pick your reason, you can type in your notes, and you can hit save. Right. So adjusting the final cost, the hours, the quantities, all the same entry fields that you've been used to using are still available to adjust as you're going down the list. Right. Now, for those that are looking for the flyout window, you just want to make sure when you're looking at the screen here, you'll see the little arrow key next to it. You'll be able to click on that arrow to get your flyout window. So hopefully this makes life a little easier for those that might be clicking elsewhere and didn't want the flyout window to pop up, right? So you can just click the arrow here instead to make sure that you're getting that flyout window, right? So hopefully a nice little quality of life change to keep that from popping up all the time.
Perfect, I like it.
Garrett, from all the clients that have used the newer feature, what's been some of the feedback that you've gotten? I know it's been very positive from the couple of clients I've showed this off to. Curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's been good. Just the ability to customize the metrics up top and quickly enter a projected final cost and give you a root cause there. And I know I think we sometimes push back against change, but I like that a lot of the customization from the WIP workspace kind of carried over. So if you're familiar with that, you kind of know how to set up your own environment here and save it. So I think that's been a big plus. Yep,
and I agree. And the one other thing too, this little icon here, before it was just a little exclamation point where you would make your WIP update. Now you'll have this doesn't match the WIP. So if you want to click into that arrow to then push your new projected final cost back to the WIP report, right? The WIP shows 4.1. We want it to show 3.4. Great. You've got the ability to pick the as of date, final contract, final cost, hit save, and then now that will update back to the WIP. So now when I look at it, we would be able to see that our cost forecast now matches WIP. It's a little more in your face to tell you that the WIP and the projections tool are all in sync with one another.
Definitely. Well, shoot, I know time goes by quick. We got about a minute left. We can kind of open up some questions, and Denver, I see we already got one in the chat.
Yeah, so question, can you view multiple commitments individually under one cost code, or will add them together as it did in the previous tool? So for the total commitments, it will behave similarly, where the commitments column, if I had it in here, would show just the total outstanding commitments for that cost code and cost class, right? But that is a nice thought to maybe include that in the flyout window to show all the commitments for that particular cost code. But right now, it'll just show the lump sum total in the columns here. And so if anyone else has any questions, please throw them in the chat. And for anyone else that wants to stick around, you're more than welcome to. If hope this was helpful for you guys when you get into the system and you want to try out the new projections tool, you can flip it to this new version. If you need to flip it back for any reason, just to kind of compare the two, you can always switch back to the projected final cost. All the data saves depending on which view. So you're free to switch back and forth, but this will be the new cost forecast tool that will stick around with ProNovos.
Perfect. I like it. Well, thanks everyone for your time. I know we're busy, but appreciate your 15 minutes, and we'll kind of hang on for a minute here and address any questions. And you have our contact information as well if you want to reach out after and schedule a follow-up or give us any more questions. So
yeah,
thanks all for jumping on.
Sure. Couple people left, so I don't know if anyone's still typing anything, but yeah, we'll stick around for another couple minutes here just in case.
Sounds good.
I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up with no other questions here. So thank you guys for joining this month's power session. Garrett, do you know when our next power session is currently scheduled for?
I do not. I'm sure we'll send it out soon.
Yep, we'll have an email that goes out to you guys just like you got the notification for this one. So hope to see you guys on the next one, and thank you guys for your time today.
Yeah, thank you all. Have a great day.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Yep, you as well. Bye.